Welcome to SPL, that is Sound Performance Lab in Germany, in the small village of Niederkirchen, which is 2/3 up in Germany, all the way to the western border. Shitty weather outside, but we're in a good mood inside, mainly because we're very proud to introduce the Crimson to you. The Crimson is our first stitch into the digital world of music production. SPL is very known and famous for analog equipment. We have decided that enough analog, we now try to marry the digital and the analog world together, and this is what we came up with. It's basically an interface with extra functions that is connected to your DAW. It is meant to be the centerpiece of your project studio, post-production studio, semi-professional studio, basically meant to be the workhorse of your studio. It is divided into three main segments. We have the preamp segment, we have a controller segment where you can address different inputs and outputs, and we have a headphone amplifier segment. In order to facilitate and explain more what this thing can do, I'd rather turn it around for a second and show you the inputs and the outputs of the device. First of all, we've got the two XLRs for microphone inputs. Of course, the microphone inputs have a 48 volt phantom power and a high pass filter and a gain control, just as much as the instrument gains, the instrument line-ins have gain control. We have 4 jack instrument ins or line-ins. And then we have a section that we're very proud of, which is called the sources section. We have decided to build this device in such a way that it can also be used as a standalone version. So if you don't hook it up to your USB port, you can still use it. And you can, for example, insert a mini jack, a stereo mini jack from your iPod, feed some music into it, and then hook a microphone and maybe a guitar to it and play along and create a rehearsal situation, training situation, a pre-production meeting situation where the computer is not ready yet, but you already want to hear what it's going to sound like. And you can do that easily. There's 2 jacks, 2-inch and 1 stereo mini jack. And then of course you have the main monitor speaker out and a secondary speaker out, which is jacks, with a small trim function that is basically meant to give you the option of trimming the output volume of the second pair of speakers, since that if you have one main monitor set and a second that differ in volume construction wise, you can pretty much adjust them to the same so that when you switch you don't get shocked by jumping levels. And then of course, very important for every interface is the MIDI in and MIDI out section, and an SPDIF for digital ins, and the USB port to hook it to the computer. And of course, there is the power supply that goes in there. Well, let me turn that around and give you a quick run through. There's 2 more line inputs, or instrument inputs as we call them, in the front. We thought this is very important because most of the time you're going to have this device in the middle of the desk, in the middle of your studio. You're going to be working from the front, and of course it's very convenient then to be able to just quickly plug in a jack and play something on a guitar, on keyboards, or whatever else you want to play on. So that's why we put 2 additional instrument inputs in the front. Of course, those have gains. The microphone gains are derived from the gain station, which is famous for its quality and especially for the quality of the preamp. So we made absolutely no compromise in sound quality in the microphone preamp section. Here we come to the control section. You have a small meter section, which basically just tells you if there is a signal at all, if the signal is doing anything, and if the signal is overloading. If you want more detailed information, we thought you might just refer to your DAW, because there you usually have a great meter and you can see if the channel is overloading at all or not. Then you can select the recording inputs, 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 you can also put into mono. And you have the DAW returns, 1 and 2, and 3 and 4. The idea behind this is you might have a main producer mix like a rough mix that the producer or the guy who mixes or runs the session is listening to through his monitor speakers. And then you have a secondary mix that goes into the vocal booth for the singer or whatever instrumentalist is going to sit there. And if you want to listen to that in your main monitors in order to find out what he or she is listening to, whether the mix they have is good for them to work with, you can easily dial that in. Then you can select the sources all together or independently in order to be able to listen to whatever else you have there for reference mixes or whatnot. And of course, you can switch on and off the SPDIF input. And then you have the selector for the main outputs. So this is usually going to be lit up all the time anyways. This is now speaker set A is selected. Now speaker set B is selected. And here's a dim function. If you want to dim it by, I think, minus 20 dBs is the dim function in order to just quickly have a little chat conversation, solve a problem, or just discuss a new approach or whatever. Then you have two headphone jacks. Very important because most of the time, especially in the kind of studio situation that we're aiming for, 2 or more people are going to be sitting there. But if it's 2 people, which is usually you and a customer or a friend, you can have 2 separate headphone outputs. It's going to be the same mix, but with separate volume controls. So if you want to listen real loud and your customer wants to listen real low, that is not a problem. And then you can mix seamlessly between listening to the direct inputs, which is latency free, and your DAW return, which is going to have a little bit of latency depending on what DAW and what settings you're using, and a huge volume control for the output volume of the music. We're thinking the product will probably be shipping in the mid of July, and the suggested retail price is around 550 euros. So we believe that the street price will probably be at 499 euros, which we think is a great price for a device that can do all of the things that I told you about, and especially with a device that has the quality that you're used to from SPL. So we're very excited about it. We're very proud of it. We have tested it. We've listened to it. We love it. We hope you do too, but we're very convinced that you will. So I'm suggesting as soon as it ships, just go to the retailer of your, or the shop of your trust, check it out, get yourself one, and have a lot of fun making music. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.